During a trip through time, the Legends were forced to land the Waverider in Blue Valley, Nebraska, where they discovered a young superhero.
Yes!
About to take flight.
That's cool.
Who are you?
I'm Stargirl.
Hello, Legendaires. Welcome back to Tomorrow's Legends. We are covering the first season of Stargirl, and we are now on episode 8, Shiv Part 2, just like everybody else. We are caught up. Woo! I am the never behind anyone and never this slow Flash.
And I'm don't give a crap what anyone says. I'll watch at my own pace. Harley Quinn.
And now, here are your hosts, the fleet-footed Flash and his hammer-swinging partner, Harley Quinn.
And that's just like you. Don't give a crap about anybody.
That's right. I'll do what I want.
True to form, Harley. True to form.
What can I say?
Hello, Legends.
And Gideon is sounding more true to form, too. How you doing, Gideon? Doing okay?
Yes, Captain.
Good. I think she's still working on things.
Yay.
Yay. So, just a tiny bit of news. We have some new t-shirt designs coming. Woohoo! Yay. Our friend X-Force 11 has been helping me behind the scenes design a new logo to kind of coincide with our Stargirl coverage. So, you Patreon supporters out there that, either jump in at the $20 level to begin with or eventually reach $50 of support, that will get you one of these new t-shirts. And once I get a couple of them in my hand, I will post a picture of them so you guys can see. I think it's pretty cool. I think it's kind of fun. It's just a fun little design, and it's just,
It is fun.
Yeah.
I think it's cool. I like it. I approve.
Yeah. Good. All right. Well, let's get right into this one. We, general impressions and ratings.
Yes. All right. Let's jump in. I'm giving this 9 car accidents that aren't really car accidents. I figured.
That's a good high score. 9. Wow.
It is a 9. I figured my ratings should match for parts 1 and 2. Not the number, but the fun little thing that I assigned to them. Whatever that's called. Anyways, I liked this episode a lot. It was very good. And I thought this opening scene was interesting. It actually had me a little bit worried at first. I was kind of expecting them to do the usual 24 hours ago or kind of like some other trope. But no, I guess it turns out that Pat sort of tries to pay attention to detail, and he decided that they needed a car accident to explain everything. So I don't know. That's cool. But you know who else pays attention to detail? Cindy Berman, apparently, pays attention to detail because that mask didn't fool anybody. She shows up at Courtney's house, and I'm like, this isn't going to end well. But then she was acting very strange. Like, I couldn't figure out what was going on with her. She starts by apologizing, and she's trying to make friends, and then she shares that she knows who Courtney is as this, 1-2 punch. It was all very weird. I don't know. She's just going to cause a whole lot of problems, so I'm excited to see where this goes with her. I guess. I don't know. It's very confusing. She's trying to be friends with Courtney, then she wants to kill everybody, and then she actually tries to kill Courtney later in the episode. It's very odd. It's kind of like a cry for help, but she's probably too far gone for that. So it made for a really good episode, and I just am excited to see more for her. Great episode overall. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we're definitely going to dive a little bit more into Cindy and how she was behaving.
Oh yeah, we're going to talk all about this.
Yeah. So I'll save most of my thoughts for that. For me, I'm also giving this one a 9 great moments, because for me, this one was off the charts with moments of surprise, moments of tension, moments of what the F is going on, and moments of, oh, hot damn, they had us all fooled. I think Cindy really upped her villain game this episode. And as if following the script I wrote last episode, she is proving to be every bit as solid a counter to Courtney as Icicle is. I think she really shined in this episode. We also got some great interaction with her and Dragon Dad, as well as a nice slow burn of Henry's powers coming to light, which also throws him in the running of most interesting character development. We're going to see if he swings for the dark side or not, because there's a little bit of hesitation in this episode, and we'll talk about more about that as well. Overall, such a well-crafted episode that I wanted more, and now that we have a week off, that sucks.
We can't binge it.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. But that's okay. It was good. It was good. Are you ready to get into it?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So I tried to group our points into key talking points. So for the most part, they'll be chronological, but then I'm trying to keep like key scenes together. So first thing I want to talk about, because I actually kind of liked this. This isn't something they normally do in superhero shows, like pay attention to a detail. So we're going to talk about Courtney's car accident, because I actually thought this was clever of Pat to think of this as a cover, because oftentimes, superheroes, if they find themselves in a hospital or in a situation where they can't get medical care, they don't have like a reason for why they were there, right? And you gotta think, she's a 15-year-old girl. Like, Pat doesn't have anyone like on the take. He doesn't have like some super secret doctor he can take her to, right? So she has to go to the ER. And so I thought it was kind of refreshing that he thought to have a cover story and he thought to have proof of a cover story. So I like that part. The part I didn't like is that at some point, Mike and Barbara are going to become super suspicious because it's just lie after lie. So we'll talk about that point in a little bit. But overall, what did you think about the car accident, if you will?
Yeah, well, I can understand your angle you're taking at it, that it's something we haven't seen before, and that he's trying to cover it up. But for me, I don't know if clever is the word I want to use it, because he's setting up a massive lie that's going to make things very difficult and uncomfortable around home.
Yes.
And I mean, Courtney isn't helping it. She's no better by begging him to lie to Barbara and keep it a secret. So he wants to protect her. He wants to do well by her. He wants to win her over as a stepdad. So he's kind of, caving into a lot of her stuff. And yeah, she's not helping any. Now with the whole situation with the Barbara, I think once she finds out, because he's built up this big lie, I'm wondering, what if Barbara becomes so infatuated with Jordan, with Icicle, that when she eventually finds out that this is all a lie and they've been lying to her, she gets so upset that she actually turns a leaf, like she becomes a supervillain on Jordan's side.
I don't, you're reading my mind or my notes, one of the two. But I think that's a distinct possibility, because my next point literally says, I hope this doesn't drive a wedge between Pat and Barbara, because you're right. Like, it's a huge lie. And eventually they're either going to have to come clean to her, which isn't going to go well, or more likely the case, because more drama, she's going to find out, or Mike's going to find out and tell her, or something of that nature. And so there's going to be huge issues kind of coming down the line, because lies of this magnitude, I mean, you faked a car accident for your 15-year-old stepdaughter, who's really a superhero because she was almost killed by a supervillain. I'm not sure which one of those things is like more unbelievable than the other, to be quite honest with you. No.
Yeah, exactly. I'm wondering, because I know this leads into your next point too, like just the way Jordan is behaving around Barbara. And we already talked about Barbara, how I think she's being won over by him because he's like such a do-gooder in her eyes, and he's trying to straighten out the town. He's trying to make the country safe, and she's buying it hook, line, and sinker. And his charm is also winning her over. And that's why I think if the lie comes out from Pat and Courtney at the same time that they're trying to convince her that Jordan is a bad dude, I think she's going to be upset about the lie, and then the fact that they're attacking her new boss, which is giving her a great new start in life and is doing what she thinks is a wonderful thing. I think those two things combined it's going to drive more than a wedge between them. It's going to drive a freaking Grand Canyon between them. I don't know how they're going to get out of that.
I don't know how they're going to get out of it either. So if she actually finds out the truth, it'll be really interesting, because I'll talk about this point real quick, and then we can kind of go back a little bit. But I really do kind of think that Jordan might be into Barbara a little bit. I'm not really sure, but when he looks back at her as he leaves the table, I don't know. He had this little like cute smile on his face. I couldn't tell if it was because he's like kind of into her, or if he's just kind of charmed by her a little bit as well, because she's so passionate about helping the small towns, which he's also passionate about, maybe for different reasons. But
Well, I mean, so if you're looking at that angle, maybe because we did see him have a conversation with Cameron last episode that Cameron wants him to be happy, and maybe he should go find someone as well. And he's like, nah, I am happy, but he might have a sparkle in his eye for Barbara because of her passion to help him out, which he continues to think is still a good thing. He doesn't think he's a bad guy. He's doing the right thing. And if he finds a woman that is willing to be by his side to do all of that, maybe he's ready to, have someone at his side again. Although he knows she's married and he's met the family. So he's probably just, keeping a step back from that. But so maybe him turning around and smiling at her, maybe he's just like, man, I really dig this woman. Too bad she's not available. Like that could be all that is.
It could, yeah.
Or, because I've been wondering about that too, maybe he's just wondering about her. Maybe he's looking back at her and he's thinking, how much can I trust her? Can I get her to join me? Maybe he's thinking like, maybe I can bring her into all of this. If she seems like an amazing lady that's buying into everything I'm selling, maybe I can eventually open up to her and let her in on what's really going on. Maybe he's thinking that as well.
Maybe. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how much he ends up telling her about, maybe not like Project New America, but about the real goals of the American dream. I have a feeling at some point he's going to confide in her at least about his wife, and maybe not about killing the people that are, quote, responsible for his wife's death, but about exposing their truth, if you will. So.
Right. Now, let's jump back to the car accident because we had asked a couple times, what kind of car is that? We've never gotten a good look at the logo or the nameplate or anything like that. And we got a couple good shots of it in the car accident scene. So I actually screen capped it and I went online and started looking. And in this episode, one of the characters says it's a Buick.
They both do, yeah.
Yeah, it said it's a Buick. So, okay, Buick. Okay, at least I got that. So what is it? So I went looking online and I was looking through models of 1950s era Buicks, and I found two that look virtually identical to his car. And it's either the Buick Roadmaster or the Buick Riviera. Oh, so if you're a car person out there, maybe you can help me out and decide exactly which one it is. But it looks like it's a 56, 57-ish Roadmaster or Riviera. Which I was just curious about because everyone's like, wow, nice car.
It is a cool car. I agree. So I was a bit sad that he had to smash it up.
Yeah. That's why. It was a bit funny though. I mean, those older cars, they didn't go super, super fast. But I thought, okay, if you want to fake an accident, why do you have to get up to 100 miles an hour to hit a tree or a pole? Like because really, if they were to investigate that at all, because with technology nowadays, they could figure out by skid marks and everything how fast you were going. Wouldn't that just add to the lie? Like, what? You let Courtney drive at 100 miles an hour? She doesn't even have her license? Like, that could just add to it. All he had to do was drive at 30 and run into a tree. They both bang their heads and, whatever.
Yeah. I thought that the way in which they faked the car accident was a little dramatic, shall we say. And maybe not factual.
It was crazy. Yeah, he didn't have to go that overboard, I think, in crashing it.
Yeah, I think that's just dramatic writing for the sake of dramatic writing, because most people don't know that you would be liquefied by hitting a telephone pole at that speed. So
maybe in today's cars, but those old cars were friggin' tanks, man. They're made of solid steel. They don't collapse like today's cars.
I mean, that's a good point. That's a good point, but I don't know. Anyways.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Let's talk about Cindy, because there's a lot going on with Cindy. So let's start to get into some of her stuff.
There's a lot going on. So hers are going to be kind of split up in key scenes. So this first one, I wanted to talk about her costume, because we got confirmation that the costume is actually hers, but the staff is her father's, and he calls it her graduation outfit, which is kind of along the lines of what I speculated. I think I was just saying, like, it's her costume and it's some sort of like prize or reward for like finishing her training or something. And that's kind of where I'm going with that. So I think he's kind of clearly been training her or putting her through some sort of training protocol, whatever his version of that is, you know, her whole life. And so, yeah, this costume is what she'll get when she, quote, graduates. So I don't know if he's tying that to actual like high school graduation or if he had something different planned. I'm assuming potentially when she, quote, graduated, she would get her costume, get her alter ego, you know, supervillain alter ego, and then be inducted into the ISA. That's kind of what I was thinking with all of that.
Yeah, it could. Graduation could be, I mean, I don't know if she's in senior year or not, whatever, but it could be graduation from school. It could be graduation from her training. It could be graduation from something else that he's putting her through, which gets her access to being part of the ISA. Like we have no idea, but definitely, yeah, it's a graduation day gift, which was kind of neat, but he said she's not ready. And the reason she's not ready, well, we see it. She has no control over her emotions. She's way too short fused. And then, yeah, with the staff, I'm wondering what is that staff? Because it's got fire abilities. And I was like, okay, he's called Dragon King. He looks like a dragon under the hood. Is that dragon fire, perhaps, of some kind? Because even the head of the staff has a little mini dragon head on it.
Yeah, maybe. That would be pretty cool.
So that could be why he's the Dragon King, because he shoots like breath of fire like a dragon, but it comes out of the staff. So I want to know more. Now, did you notice, let's go back to Cindy's outfit here. Did you notice that there is some kind of power buckle on her stomach?
I was wondering what it was. It was kind of weird.
It's very Darth Vader-like. It's like a little panel of lights and buttons, exactly like Darth Vader has on his chest, only hers was lower on her stomach. I'm like, what is that? It was a little, like a square kind of rounded edge thing, and it looked like there's like 15 or 16 buttons and lights on it.
Yeah, I don't know. That I was kind of wondering what it was. So I don't even have any like good speculation because she has regenerative powers, and I don't think she doesn't need a suit to sustain her or to help her in any way. It's purely decorative. So I'm not really sure what that could be or what that does or what extra advantage it might give her. That's very interesting.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. That's something I might have to look into while we're talking here. I will pull her up and see, but I'm just curious what it does. So maybe I'll do a little bit of research and find out. Now, another scene here that comes after that, like you said, we're kind of going chronologically here. It kind of cuts to a scene with the rest of our team, our good guy team, back at the garage, and Matt is pissed off and wanting revenge. He wants to go get them for what they did to Courtney, and he's yelling and screaming, and we got Yolanda and Beth trying to calm him down, and they're trying to speak reason to him and, you know, get him to see through his anger or whatever and see some sense, and it actually works. And this calls back to what I said a couple episodes ago. I think it's going to take the team and Courtney that, you know, him hanging out and spending time with him will start to temper his rage and his anger. And I think this was the first instance of that actually working.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was the first instance you see it actually working. I also think you mean Rick, right?
What did I say?
Matt. Britt is Rick. Rick Tyler?
Okay.
Talking about.
Maybe. Yeah. Where did I get Matt from?
I don't know. I was confused at first. I was like, who's Matt? But yeah, in that scene, yeah. So I agree with you. I mean, definitely. Mm-hmm. He needs to calm down. Like I was like clapping for Beth that she kind of like stood up to him and was just like, dude, we see what you're doing. You're angry. And so you hurt people because that's the only way you have to like lash back out. So right. I'm hoping, they kind of calm him down because that's going to get old real fast.
It is. But I have a feeling that it's exactly what's going to happen. They're going to calm him down. He's going to learn to control his anger and, his outrages, basically. Because he's got a lot. He's got a lot that he has to get rid of. And I think just hanging out with them, especially Pat, like I said, I think Pat's going to be a good father figure for him. And he'll eventually figure out what he needs to do.
Yeah. For sure. All right. I think the next scene that comes up here, I wanted to skip. So we're intentionally skipping talking about the Mike and Courtney scene. So we'll add it later in the episode when it comes back up.
Yeah. Now, another scene that comes right after that, though, like Courtney is being wheeled out by Pat in the wheelchair, and they go by Henry, and sitting by his dad's side, and she actually says hi to him. Hi, Henry. And for a moment, the way he looked up at her, I thought he was going to be happy that she's showing him compassion. Mm-hmm. And he walks up to her, I'm like, oh, she's going to make friends with him. She's showing concern. And instead, he slams the door on her face.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why? What? Is he just so upset? Or has Cindy told him something about Courtney that, she's a vile little, yoo-hoo, and he believes her off? Like, I have no idea. So I'm just kind of curious. Why would he have done that? Is he just hurting and he doesn't think anybody understands or anybody cares? So he's like, get out of here. And nobody cares.
I mean, maybe a little bit of both. I mean, I can see him just kind of like wanting to be left alone, and maybe, she's always kind of perky and always like trying to like make friends with everyone. So maybe he just wasn't in the mood for that. I don't know. But it also could be, yeah. I mean, Cindy could have told him something, and maybe he doesn't really like her. I don't know. It was a very interesting scene. I was a little bit surprised that they had that scene like that. Maybe, I don't know, maybe foreshadowing something that will come in later episodes. I'm not exactly really sure what, but it just, it was a bit interesting to have him react that way. I was surprised by that as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that. Although I think I had a couple of scenes that I absolutely love this episode, and Pat having a heart-to-heart with the staff was possibly another one. It was very funny. It was really good dialogue. I think it's also coming back later, so we don't have to harp on his performance exactly. But I did really enjoy Pat's heart-to-heart.
Yeah, I think Luke Wilson was so great in that scene. Yes. And, at this point, was the staff listening? We don't know, but it definitely was, because when he walks away, it lights up and it had a reaction. So it was cool. It was a cool scene. It was funny, but it was also cool because he is spilling himself out to the staff to say, like, please just protect Courtney. If she ever gets in trouble, drag her out of there, kind of thing. And the staff did listen. And, we see it defy Courtney later on for a little while, but then as soon as she says, my friends are in trouble or whatever, then of course it obeys her and away they go. But for a moment there, it was following Pat's request.
Yes. And did you notice in that scene, she specifically says Pat and the others are in trouble? So I'm wondering if it's because Pat was in trouble. They gave in. I find this staff very, very interesting because I feel like it's more or less kind of turning itself on at will, but then there's kind of times when it doesn't, which is baffling me a little bit. I'm not quite understanding, because in the scene where Pat addresses it, and then there's also been a few times in battle where the staff gets like kind of knocked out of her hands and it just stays on the floor. Whenever Pat tries to address it, it doesn't light up. It doesn't show a reaction like in any way, shape, or form. So I'm having trouble trying to like figure out its rules. I mean, I'm definitely leaning toward that it's kind of like alive and sentient, if you will, like as the cosmic staff. I think it's pretty cool. But at points, it's feeling like it being able to work or not work or respond or not respond are also seeming quite plot convenient. So what are your feelings on the cosmic staff?
Yeah, well, it's interesting how you compare those moments together, because I wonder, things that I was wondering is if when it loses contact with Courtney, does it lose a bit of its consciousness for a moment? Does it kind of, once that connection is severed from her being hit or whatever, does it lose that connection for a moment and it's not under anyone's control? Or does it get knocked out for a second as well? Like when she goes down, does it also go down? Because they both get hit, right? What usually knocks her out, the staff is in her hands, so maybe it gets the concussive damage as well. I don't know. But like you said, what most likely it is, it's just the writer's convenience that we're dealing with here, as per usual on these superhero shows. It's like, we need this to happen, write it in, the staff does this, staff does that. We've seen it with all kinds of gadgets and whatever things when a superhero needs something that the writers, what do we call it? Plot device?
Yes, plot device.
Yeah. So I think that's mostly what it is here. I don't think we're going to get any super in depth with it. It's just plot device. The staff's not going to work because we need a dramatic moment.
Yeah. Perhaps.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So while you were talking, I did look up Shiv real quick to find out what the DC history is on her. And it's actually interesting. She was not that major of a character. She was really strong early on in Stargirl's career when Stargirl was known as the Star-Spangled Kid. But this may be spoilery, but once Shiv's father dies in the comics, she kind of just disappears and they never go back to her again and use her. So that's part of her story. But with her abilities and powers, it says through experimentation, she has gained extra, she's a little bit more flexible, a little bit faster, a little bit stronger through the experiments on her. But the suit she's wearing is a cybernetic enhancement of all of that. So the suit gives her more strength, more speed, more agility. So that could be why it's got that little computer console thing on the front, because it's cybernetic based.
Interesting, perhaps. Maybe they'll flesh that out some more for us.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. We'll see what the show does. What I like, though, that she's maybe wasn't that big of a character in the comics, but they're bringing her to the forefront, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, well, it also means they can do more with her because they can kind of write her own story because she doesn't have as much of a backstory for people to complain about or whatever.
No. And it did say, too, that she fights really nastily. She is hardcore and fights hard and fights rough. So that's kind of definitely what we're seeing in her. And she's super trained in martial arts. Since she was a young kid, she was trained in martial arts. So
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. There you go. So back to Barbara and Pat, because there's a scene here in the hallway of their home when Barbara finally gets home from her trip and she looks in on Courtney in bed there. She's sleeping. And she has a talk with Pat. And I was like, is Barbara even mad at Pat here? Because she didn't sound angry. Like, she didn't even really ask about the car accident. She didn't ask anything. And I'm like, what's going on? You think she'd want to know a few more details. Maybe he told her all on the phone. I don't know. But she didn't seem overly pissed like I thought she would be. And then I was starting to think about their relationship. And they don't seem to be very loving towards each other. It's just like, even when she caught them talking about teaching Courtney to drive. It's the way he kind of reached up and put his hands on her shoulders. It's kind of like he's all awkward and uncomfortable about even being close to her. It's just strange that their relationship doesn't seem to be full of, much emotion or sharing. I don't know what it is. There's something really odd about it. But and this is where I'm confused, why I'm asking if she's even mad at Pat or she's super mad and that's why she didn't want to have anything to do with him. She's like, yeah, whatever, I'm going to bed. It's because earlier, last episode, she was adamant that Courtney shouldn't be learning to drive. That scene I just talked about, she didn't want Courtney learning to drive. She's not ready. She's too young. It's too dangerous, whatever. And the fact that he takes her out and they get in a car accident, I fully expected her to come home pissed and be yelling at him or mad. And here she's just like, not even going to ask you about it. I'm tired. I'm going to go to bed. Like, did that whole thing seem kind of off to you?
I mean, a little bit. She did seem downright exhausted, and I don't know how far back and forth she was driving. And so I can kind of relate to that. Kind of like, I just don't have the energy to deal with this right now. Like, we'll deal with this later kind of thing. I don't know. But yeah, no, it was a little odd. But as far as like their emotion towards each other, I get the feeling sometimes that they feel awkward around the kids because
that could be it too. I mean? Yeah.
So I've sort of attributed some of that to them having to be like around their kids together because the kids feel very uncomfortable about it. So that's the only thing I could think of. But yeah, it was kind of like an awkward scene. She did seem like she was definitely disappointed, definitely exhausted is kind of the vibe I got of her, of just like, I can't deal with this right now. Like, I could totally relate to that.
I don't know. It's just, she was so adamant about not driving, and then he goes behind her back and lets her drive and crash the car, even though it's a lie. That's what she knows. I expected more. So I don't know. To me, I can't see someone being so tired. They like, if with how upset she was about her even learning, the idea of her learning to drive, and then she gets in an accident, I expected her to just be livid. But I don't know.
Maybe it'll come back. I don't know. I mean, this might not be the end of it. So I don't know. We'll
maybe.
have to see.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's dive into Project New America for a minute. So we learn exactly about what Jordan is doing. He's traveling across the country. He's tracking down people that are responsible for causing his wife's cancer. And he's basically trying to get rid of companies or people associated with companies who've disposed of these dangerous chemicals in places where they know harm will be caused. I think he uses the example of his wife, specifically when he says, you had a dump site, you covered over it, a new school was built on top of it, nobody said anything, and my wife got cancer and she died, that sort of stuff. So I feel like that we knew like parts of it, but I feel like it just sort of encapsulated all of that in like a neat, clean little bow, mission with a bow. Like, you know what I mean? So we know exactly why he's doing what he's doing.
And again, does this really make him a bad guy? He's going after companies that are dumping toxic waste and hurting people and killing people. I have to argue, no, not at all. I mean, yes, as Icicle, he's gone and killed individual people here and there. He's a bad guy. It's nasty. But hasn't the companies that he's going after killed hundreds with their sneaky dumping and testing and all that kind of stuff? Who's really the ultimate bad guy here? He actually is doing a good thing by shutting these companies down and exposing them for what they've done.
Flash,
really?
Are you trying to say Icicle is an anti-hero?
That would be a very good term to describe him, yes.
Interesting. He's a great character. There's no doubt there.
Yeah. And the other cool part about this whole scene was we get to see him in his true form, too, which was kind of cool. Cool. But here's my question. He's sitting there in the chair, and the guy's like, the hell with you. I don't have to listen to you. And he goes to leave, and the door handle is frozen. So that leads me to believe that Icicle can freeze things with his mind.
It does.
Because he didn't move. He didn't waggle his finger. He didn't do anything. He was just watching, and he froze the door handle.
Yeah, it definitely felt like he willed the door handle to freeze, if you will. I thought that was very interesting showcasing of his talents.
Yes. So maybe we should dig into Icicle's power abilities, too, and see what might be there.
Probably. Yeah, get a little bit more info on him. All right, well, let's move on to this next set of scenes here that I have called Infiltrating the Bourbons, because this was a bit fascinating here. So, well, I mean, a little bit of background. New Team JSA comes up with a plan that Pat sort of stumbles into, where they're basically going to go into Cindy's house, talk with her stepmom, and have Beth look around and see what she can learn with her goggles. So, Pat ends up trying to catch up with Beth and going in with her, which I guess probably for the better. Because, oh God, Beth, poor Beth, sometimes. But what we learn is that Bobby actually has no known identity. So that definitely meant to be that she's probably an experiment, which I think was what we speculated in our last episode. And also, like, Beth and Pat were super loud with their whispering. How does she not hear what they're saying the entire time? That just kind of drove me crazy. But
so my question is she just totally brainwashed maybe? Because it's hard to say what way she is. I mean, maybe she's just limited on instinct and senses to keep her under Dragon's control. Maybe he didn't provide her with the instincts to pay attention or whatever. Or she's just like, she's so brainwashed that nothing that ever happens matters. Because I don't know if she has a job. I don't know if she ever leaves the house.
I don't think
she's
so.
Just a placeholder, basically, it seems like.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. I don't know. She's very odd. So I don't know if we'll get a little bit more about her, but I definitely feel like she definitely was placed there on purpose. I'm not ruling out the fact that he didn't completely fabricate her in some way, shape, or form. I don't know how, but that seems to be kind of what he does. So I guess we'll see.
Right.
Also, everything about this house is fake. Did you notice that? Like, literally everything. The books, the cabinets are empty. There's like wine and bare necessities in the fridge. Like, there's nothing normal about that house.
It seems like a very barren show home or something. Like there's
like a stage
but maybe
house.
But maybe that's what she does all day. She just keeps it spotless. But I mean, you do go up to Sydney's bedroom, and she has a completely normal bedroom for a teenager.
Yeah. Well, I guess she's the only real thing about that whole house.
Yeah.
Also, honorable mention, the security code for the tunnels is 1999, which I believe is another nod to the comics. I think Jeff is normally mentioning the 99 run of Stargirl, so thought that was cool. So I wrote it down.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So the tunnels. So this is the point in the episode where Beth takes a visit into the tunnels, which I thought seemed like a terrible idea. Like, she goes down there. They're definitely going to see this on their cameras, right? And they're going to know who she is. This, I thought this was a rookie move. Again.
Yeah, Beth, I don't know. She drives me nuts. One episode she's good, one episode she's not. You know, she's the one kid with no powers at all, and here it is. She's that dumb to just go snooping again and follow that down the stairs into the dark tunnels on her own. She's the only kid with no superpowers. Why would she be that dumb when she seems like she's actually a smart kid with all the tech and everything? I don't buy this scenario. This scene drove me crazy because she's the one kid. We've seen her be scared every time they get into a fight. She's kind of scared and worried. We know she can't do anything. The goggles can't help her. Why would she be going down in these tunnels all by herself with no protection at all? I don't buy it. Like I said, she's really hit and miss, and this one to me was a big miss because you can't make her that smart and figure things out one episode and then so dumb the next by doing stuff like this. And it drove me nuts. She's the full one mark I deduct from this episode was because of her.
Oh, interesting. See, I don't mind her, but I just thought it was kind of like a rookie mistake to do that on your own. I mean, I definitely think they're going to have captured her on the cameras, but fortunately for her, at least at this point, no one actually came out and found her out. But she doesn't ultimately chicken out, right? So I like that she ends up heading back up into the house, but she hasn't found anything. So she heads up to Cindy's bedroom, and she actually discovers her father's identity, which we've known the name, but now we know a little bit more about him through Chuck. So his name is Shiro Ito, which we knew. He was apparently, emphasis on the was, a war criminal who was executed in 1947. Yet he's now currently the Dragon King and her father in 2020.
Yeah, see, there's some good history for him here. And this was the best part of the episode because he created biological and chemical weapons, and they called one the Bacilli bomb that actually, when the bomb went off, it spread plague across China. And like you said, he got executed for his war crime. So what the heck is going on? If he was executed, then who is this dragon guy? I mean, he's obviously got some type of skin condition. So how is he here now? And this is where I want to dive into. Because we know in nature, lizards are able to play dead for a long period of time. Sometimes some of them can come back after a long stasis is where you think they're dead. They can also regenerate body parts when they lose a leg or lose a tail. They can grow it back. So there's all kinds of properties. And if they call him Dragon King and he had some kind of connection to dragons, hence the fire staff, what is going on with this guy? What did he tap into that allows him to be here today if he was actually executed? Again, it's another villain that just has me going, wow, I want to know more because, wow, did they open the doors on him, giving us a whole bunch of info, but left us hanging with wanting to know more. And I love it. It's great because he's fascinating. I want to know.
Exactly. They gave us a whole bunch of information and none of it makes sense and you can't put any of it together really. So yeah, super interesting. I want to know more about him. I am sure we are getting more, but yeah. I don't even have a good speculation. I have no earthly idea. The lizard theory is pretty cool. I kind of like that. So maybe he experimented on himself and gave himself some lizard DNA that turned him into what he is. So
right. Who knows? Hard to say.
All right.
But he's cool. I mean, he's cool. We've got Icicle, we've got Shiv, and we got Dragon King. We got three pretty badass villains right now, and it's and Henry, which I think we're going to still talk about in a little bit, and Henry. So it's this show is building up a really strong group of villains that we have not had on any other TV show. Not this many that are all going, whoa, they're awesome.
Yeah, I know. That's a good point. Now, I like this last little part because, now that she's stuck in in Cindy's bedroom, and Cindy comes home. They needed a way to get her out. So I like that the new JSA used their powers and kind of started to work as a team. You know, they were keeping an eye out for Beth, and then when things got too hot, they pulled her out. So I kind of like that. It was a start of teamwork,
I guess sort of. If you think helping Beth get out of the house is teamwork, then sure. But I mean, they were just really sitting on the outside, talking on their communicators, really. But in the end, to get her out in time without being caught, sure, I'll give you that. But
yeah, no, at the end to get her out, because otherwise Cindy probably would have killed her. So there's that.
Yeah.
Now Cindy. All right, this is the part that I kind of want to dig into her a little bit, because she goes and visits Courtney, and this is all of what I was talking about in my introduction, because I found it just completely baffling. Like, she comes in, she starts with an apology, and then she talks the whole time in this like weird double speak, because they know each other's secret identities, and it almost seemed like Courtney thought that Cindy didn't actually know that she was Stargirl until Cindy tells her at the very end. So it was a little weird, but her entire speech is very like double speak. Like, it sounds like she's apologizing for the way she treated her like at school and at the football game, but what she's sounded like she was really apologizing for was almost killing her as Shiv, in my opinion. I don't know. What did you think?
She had me there. I don't know. Like, I thought maybe she didn't hear Pat calling Courtney's name and was legit coming to make peace because she needs a friend. We keep touching on that maybe she just needs a friend. Mm-hmm. Courtney had no idea that she heard Pat calling because she was knocked out. So it was easy to believe Cindy there, that she could be here to be friendly, bringing her chocolates and everything, even though she, like Courtney herself, looked so obviously uncomfortable with Cindy being there because she knows who Cindy is. But it was easy for her to believe that maybe Cindy doesn't know that she was Stargirl. Mm-hmm. And this part kind of drives me nuts on how TV characters can be so obvious about certain things and no other characters notice. It's not realistic. And like I said, because when Cindy's sitting there on her bed talking to her, Courtney clearly looks uncomfortable and clearly looks like, what the hell's going on here? How a TV character like Cindy doesn't pick up on that, I don't know. As viewers, we see it, but that drives me nuts. You see that all the time, and it drives me crazy when someone is so clearly obvious about being uncomfortable. But whatever, that's TV for you. But holy crap, what a turn by Cindy, showing her true wickedness. And this is why I think she really came into her own this episode, because she is so good. And like I've already said, we got two great villains on our hands with this show already. You know, between Shiv and Icicle, and it's definitely showing up all the other DC shows right now. There's no show that even comes close to the type of villain development that we're getting here on Stargirl.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. It's very good, and it's compelling stories too, which I like a lot. Mm-hmm. And this scene, like you said, it was confusing to me because it actually almost seemed like Cindy was having like a cry for help. Do you know what I mean? Like, she seemed genuine when she said she needed a friend. Like, don't you think?
Yeah.
It's just so confusing. It's like, okay, you said you needed a friend, and I believe that you need a friend, but yet you're gonna kill everybody.
And again, it's what is the point where it's too far gone for her? I don't know, but she was definitely believable, and yeah, and that's why Courtney looked like is so confused, because she's like, she doesn't know who I am. Yeah. Because like I said, she was knocked out. And at that point it was like, well, did Cindy even hear Pat? Because she was running to get the hell out of there. Maybe she didn't hear it. It was, she played it well and got me. I wasn't so sure at all. And obviously you're confused, like, what's going on? So yeah. Well played by Cindy. And what a great twist. I mean, she turned it on and it's like, whoa, that was cool.
Yeah. It was good.
Yeah, I mean, with you keep saying that it seems like she needs a friend. She's reaching out for a call to help. I do believe there's still a remnant of her that really just wants to be normal and have a friend, because she doesn't have one. It's like she said to her dad, she's so alone up there and she's so bored. And it got me thinking a lot about Carrie's observation last episode of her being very much like Anakin Skywalker. And it seems very clear here that that was their motivation, or their, their where they got their ideas from for her character, for her story. Because it's so similar, and I really like that Carrie pulled on that, like how much it's like Anakin, and it's great.
Yeah, it was a good comparison. Yeah, for sure. It'll be interesting to see how she continues to evolve a little bit. So,
all right, let's talk about Henry, because we keep bringing him up, and
we do
keep brushing him aside.
I know, but I wanted to save him till closer to the end because his major scenes are more close to the end. So, okay, the first thing I want to talk about is the scene where he actually learns to control the key and then discovers his dad's secret room, which was super cool. And then I didn't realize this the first time, and maybe they didn't show it at the right angles, but it looks like there's training tapes like covering the walls. Like they very clearly looked like VHS tapes that were labeled, and I thought they said like day 1 and so on and so forth. So it was really weird to me. It almost felt very like Dharma Initiative, like from Lost. I definitely got that feel for sure.
Yeah, I caught their videotapes the first time we saw in that room, but I never noticed what was written on them before. And this time it took really close observation to see what was written on there, and I didn't really catch it. But man, again, this is another villain. I think they're doing such a great job showing his powers developing, and I love that direction. They're not simply just waking up and bam, he can do all the same things as his dad. We get to see how much it hurts with his brain unlocking these abilities. We see him struggle and having to learn some control. And we see him get scared of it too. It's all so well done. But now these tapes, were they training tapes? I have no idea what they were. Like maybe it's just his growth. Maybe it's...
That's true.
Yeah. Or it's whatever Cindy's observing. Like where are these tapes coming from? Are they coming from... Dragon King's lair, because he's got the monitors all over the place. Like we have no idea. I didn't pick up on anything there, so I wasn't sure. I'm just curious what they were myself. I thought maybe the tapes were of who he's been watching and stuff. Maybe, I don't know. But that seems more like a dragon thing than a brainwave thing. I'm not sure. But what another key moment here in this scene, which is why I'm unsure of which way Henry's going to sway, is he finds a letter from the Dragon King to Brainwave saying, Cindy will keep an eye on Henry. Don't worry. She's really good at watching people. She'll keep an eye on him. Yeah. And that's when he gets out of there. So I think that's going to mess him up, because he's like, he doesn't want to be watched. He doesn't want to have all of that happening to him. And it might steer him towards Courtney. I wonder if we might have a young Brainwave on the good guy side.
That would be super cool. I would like to see that. Well, it'll be interesting to see if they can do that, or if I don't know. We'll just have to see what they do with him. That would be cool if he ended up being on Team JSA. That would be very cool. Very interesting turn of events.
Son versus father, who's got the stronger mind.
Yeah, exactly. That could be cool.
Yeah. So before we move on, I did look up Icicle a little bit. There's actually not a lot of info on Icicle. He was a very basic villain way back in the old days. And apparently Jordan, who was not called Jordan, he was called Jor in the comics, he actually didn't have any powers. He used a cold gun, hence Captain Cold kind of style. But it's his son that developed the powers, and so they're kind of playing with it, although it says here that somehow they're able to internalize the ability to freeze objects and people, and to lower the temperature of a room, the ambient temperature within their immediate vicinity, to several hundred degrees below zero. And that is all it says for abilities, cryokinesis. So I think they're taking that and running with it, which is why we saw him be able to freeze the door handle with just his mind, because that's really all he needs to do. So obviously they're taking that and running with it a little bit. I'll have to dig a little bit more, and that's just what I see on the DC wiki right now. But at least there's a little bit. So they're creatively writing him to be much cooler than he ever was.
Yeah, that's true.
Cooler. I keep bringing that up, and I'm not even trying.
I know, you can't get away from that pun. It's impossible.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's move on. Stargirl to the rescue. She convinces the staff to leave. And it's because it decided it definitely didn't want to take her into danger. So she decides she's going to go and confront Shiv/Cindy, which it's a pretty good fight. I don't know.
Yeah. And like we said, the staff did listen to Pat until Courtney says her friends are in trouble, and then it gives in and goes with her. So, yeah.
It did. It tried.
Yeah. This was a crazy fight. Can we just point out here, like, this was a fight that Courtney brought to Cindy. She went on the offensive and just flies in through her window and smashes up the place when she attacks her.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I was like, wow, that I was not quite, I don't know what I was expecting, but I wasn't quite expecting that. So that was pretty cool. Also, we got confirmation that Cindy's Wolverine.
We did. That's what it was saying on the wiki that I was just reading, that we do witness the shivs coming out of her arms. To me, that's gross. Ugh, or out of her wrist. Ugh, yuck, I don't like that kind of stuff. And I think that's what the experiment is, which is what I just read on the wiki about her, that these experimentations, that was, the shivs were part of it, part of giving her a little bit more abilities. And yeah, so we did see that. And those blades, according to the wiki, she's got more than just those 2 blades. Like, apparently there's a few of them in her somewhere, but we'll have to see if they do anything with that. But I just laugh, though. The blades coming out of her arms. DC has always been plagued with stealing Marvel's ideas, stealing Stan Lee's ideas, which is unfortunate for DC, because Marvel did have all the cool characters, and it just seems like... And I think people can accuse Marvel of maybe doing that, too. They can take a DC idea and say, yeah, we can improve on that. And they did. It's unfortunate that there's so many similarities. Come on, guys. Create your own ideas and superpowers.
Yeah, I know there are a lot of parallels that you can draw between the 2 of them. It is a little bit unfortunate, though.
Yes.
Okay, so speaking of going on the offensive, so they end up in the street, right? The 2 of them trying to battle it out, where Cindy's trying to legitimately kill Courtney, which was the whole confusing part. It was like, you're trying to make friends like 2 minutes ago, and now all of a sudden you're like hell-bent on killing her. Like, it's just crazy to me. But then Henry's the one who rolls up on the scene, which is interesting because he can actually hear both their thoughts, and he doesn't have a clue exactly what's going on. He just hears everything that they're both saying, and it's just like way too much for him. And so I thought this was pretty cool. Like, he just gets completely overloaded, and he actually ends up splitting them apart with this like massive telepathic brainwave thing because he can't stand listening to the 2 of them any longer. I thought that was great.
Yeah, well, I think he was already overloading already, because he's struggling with the headache. Like, whatever that part of his brain is that's waking up, and his power is basically coming to, it's maturing. It was already overloading at that point. And just having, I think, the input of all the superpowers around him and them bickering and all this stuff, I think it just was all too much. And bam, like, what a blast that was, that mental telekinetic blast, whatever it was. I think he's going to be pretty powerful, maybe even more powerful than his dad.
It'll be interesting. I definitely think he's going to be super powerful. That is true. I mean, his dad's pretty darn powerful. He can do a whole lot. So
that's true.
Very, very interesting. All right. So this was weird that, like, Cindy, she gets snatched by her dad's thugs. Like, Henry conveniently splits them apart down opposite ends of the street. And then all of a sudden they come up out of the sewers and just take her down. What did you feel about this? I was very confused.
That was weird. And I'm wondering, why couldn't she fight them off? Is she supposed to be enhanced and strong or whatever? Maybe she's just shaken up by the mind blast. I don't know. But she seems so helpless there. Yeah. I don't get it. It 3 of them just dragged her off so easily, and she couldn't even fight back. So I'm like, I don't know. Maybe she's hurting still, I guess. But it was strange. And then we actually heard them called drones. Whatever these figures are, we call them automatons, but they call them drones. So, yeah. Maybe
they're super strong or something? I don't know. That's the only thing I could figure out.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was a little weird that she wasn't able to get free of them. So I'd like a little bit more information there. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, because he can hear everything they're thinking, Henry figures out that Courtney is Stargirl. So
yeah, duh. That wasn't tough to do.
Wasn't tough to do. It's kind of turning into the Flash, where everybody knows who Barry Allen is a little bit. So I don't know. I guess we'll see where they go with that. But that's starting to bug me a little that everyone knows who she is.
Yeah. And like I said before, it's obvious anyway. If you can't see through her mask who it is, but just because of her hair and her voice and her smile and her overall stature, come on, it's Superman and his glasses all over again. And that always drives me crazy.
I know. Yeah, it is a little hard to swallow. And then, of course, the very last point that I have here, the very last thing that kind of caps off this episode was that Dr. Ito finally figures out that Henry has powers, the thing he's been watching for the entire time.
Yeah, I mean, he's watching everything on those monitors, so he's got the whole town under surveillance.
Yeah.
And that's, to me, what felt like the Darwin Initiative from Lost to me. Those old monitors, and they're watching everything. I was like, yeah, that's Lost. But how great would it be if it was the same actor as in those old Dharma videos on Lost that is the guy underneath the dragon hood?
That would be amazing.
How cool would that be?
I would love that. I hope that's him.
I totally think so. And I think Dragon is going to be so mad at Cindy for not finding out that Henry has powers, because she was adamant that he doesn't. I think he's going to be a little bit upset with her. But with Henry, is he going to be in trouble? Because I think Dragon's going to want to use him somehow, some way, right, to power his device.
For sure.
So I wonder if Henry is going to join the good side for this big fight that's coming at the end.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what side Henry ends up going to, because they're going to want him on the good side, obviously, because he's not completely corrupted. Like, he didn't know who he was legitimately. His dad kept him in the dark, waiting to see if his powers were going to manifest. And then if they did, I think that's when he was going to explain everything to him. But because he's in a coma, he doesn't have this chance. And now Henry's just confused and trying to figure it all out. So I think there's a good chance they might be able to get through to him. But I don't know, because he's going to feel betrayed by Cindy. You know, he's going to learn that Cindy manipulated everything. Maybe Yolanda can talk some sense into him. I don't know, but she seems to hate him an awful lot. So I don't even know if that's an option. So I guess we'll just have to see.
Yeah. I don't know. We will find out next episode, I'm guessing.
Probably.
I don't know what the next episode is called. It's not giving it away, so we'll find out.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into our favorite scenes for this week.
Shape out and eagle!
All right, we got a couple scenes this week, and I think both of them, we picked some pretty long scenes here, but they're just too good to not include here and talk about afterwards. So we're gonna go in chronological order as well. And the first one I want to talk about is this exact scene with Dragon King and Cindy, when she comes down to see him in the lair, and he's very upset at her for screwing up. And they get into this whole confrontation, and that's the scene we're going to play. And she's defending herself, and he's very pissed off at her, and she won't listen. And this is the part I want to talk about after the scene. He threatens to take off his hood, and that scared her. She was listening, she's like, being the bratty teenager. And as soon as he threatens to take off his hood, you saw it in her face, like, whoa. And she backs off and shuts right up and leaves. Mm-hmm. And I thought, wow, okay, what does that mean if he takes off his mask? So contemplate that for a sec. We'll play the clip.
I did it, Dad.
What's that, Cynthia?
What no one else in the Injustice Society could do. I found Stargirl.
I know. And you didn't alert me. Is she dead?
Yeah, probably.
That is a yes or no question. Let me answer. She's alive. I sent drones to retrieve the body. It was gone.
I beat her. Okay? But there's someone else there and I couldn't see who.
A new member of the Justice Society, I'd imagine. Stargirl isn't the only one we're dealing with.
Dad.
And even so, you put on your graduation uniform without my approval. You took my staff and you went out, risking exposure, jeopardizing us all. And for what?
I heard her. And
I don't doubt it. You are so good at hurting things.
Stop bringing up Mom.
I didn't.
Don't passive aggressive me. I proved myself.
The fact that Stargirl is still alive says the opposite.
If you would just listen to me.
I'm done listening. And now, instead of focusing on my important work here, I'm forced to explain my daughter's ill-considered actions to the others. Truthfully, they might never give you a seat at the table now.
I didn't do anything wrong.
She was in the tunnels, Cynthia. And you left her alive. Return home. And do nothing until I call for you. Do you understand? Do not make me remove my hood.
Whoa, the music and the heartbeat that you can hear in the music and everything, like, wow, they have a wonderful underlying soundtrack for him, and it just kept getting creepier and creepier, building up to that moment. I love it. That's why I picked that scene.
It was a really good scene. There are a lot of really good scenes in this episode, and I think you picked the other two that I loved as well, so it works out nicely.
Yeah. Well, so let me ask you now, what do you think that means? Don't make me take off my hood.
I don't know. Either he's like completely horrifying underneath, or I don't know, he's got some sort of weird power that he has to take off his hood to use. I'm not really sure.
Maybe he does breathe fire.
Maybe he does breathe fire. Yeah, I don't know enough about him to really even speculate, although he does look quite lizard-like. He does wear a hood. I assumed more to just hide his deformity than anything else, but I don't know, maybe not. Maybe there's more to it.
I don't know. It scared her, though. Holy cow. She looked really scared, freaked out that he threatened her with that. And I love that the music and the heartbeat, though. That's just, they really built that scene up. It was great.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah.
All right, what do you got?
All right, well, next I think is the scene with Mike and Courtney that I actually really loved because I thought this was kind of cute. I liked them bonding over the pizza bites, and I think it helped explain Mike a little bit to us, so, or at least he tried to explain how he's been acting.
We go from evil, wicked monster dragon to young child being a little kid brother. Yeah, it's kind of funny. Yeah. Funny transition.
It is.
Here it is.
Hey, Court.
Mike?
I made some Pizza Palooza bites. If you want any. Last one's in the box. A little greasy.
Wow, you never give up Pizza Palooza bites.
Yeah. I know. Listen, I'm really sorry.
For what? You weren't driving the car?
About what I said at the game. How Pat was my dad and not yours. I'm really sorry. I shouldn't have said it.
I already forgot about it.
Just, you guys have been spending so much time together. And I always tell him I don't want to. But he's my dad, you know? I never really had to share him with anyone.
I get it.
I'm also kind of glad that he's your dad, too, because that makes you my sister, and that's pretty cool.
Thanks, little bro.
I thought it was cute. I liked it.
Yeah, see, it seems to me Mike and Beth are trading off. When Beth is annoying, Mike is okay. When Mike's annoying, Beth is okay. That's what's happening here. And this was a good scene for him. The kid did a good performance. Mm-hmm. It was a sweet moment, and I detect some type of accent out of this kid. He talks like he's from Boston, maybe, or something. I'm not sure. There's some kind of accent to him.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. He does a little bit, but I don't remember where they're originally from. So maybe, I know they were living in California, but maybe they moved from somewhere else.
Yeah, or it's just the actor. I mean, the kid can't hide his accent of wherever he's from. I don't know, but yeah,
Well,
it's
that's
still
distinctly possible too.
nice scene. Now, I threw in a bonus one here because I couldn't really decide between the two, and we did talk about this scene, but it's Luke Wilson's performance when he's talking to the staff. It's such a great scene, and it's funny, and it's endearing, and I just wanted to include it. So we got a bonus scene for you here.
Okay, so we need to talk. Or I do, I guess. Look, look, I know in the past we've had our differences and we haven't always seen eye to eye on everything. At times, it seemed, well, you didn't even really respect me all that much. And as long as I'm speaking honestly, I felt that you were pretty impulsive and reckless. But the thing is, when you came into Starman's life, he was already an adult, right? Sylvester had been running around as the Star-Spangled Kid for years. He had experience. Sylvester knew what to expect. But Courtney's got a lot to learn. I know you want justice for Sylvester, and I do too. But Courtney could have died tonight. And I'm asking you to protect her. If it gets to be too much, take her away from the danger instead of towards it. Can you hear me? If you understand me, just do something. Do one of your, just...
Hello?
That's how it's gonna be. Talking to a stick, Pat. That's great. You're losing it, Pat. You really are.
He got through.
He did.
Such a good scene. That's why I wanted to include it.
It was, yeah. It was, yeah. I debated on a couple of these, which ones I should choose. And in the end, they all made them in, so.
Well, there you go. Awesome. It's time for feedback.
Feedback.
43 powers, activate!
All right. We got some feedback tonight. We got quite a bit. And an old friend is back on our side. Back part of the team. It's Comic Geek Kev. Woo! He says, hey, legends, so glad you guys are doing this show and you're all caught up. I know it couldn't have been easy, but I'm sure your listeners appreciate it. This episode is one of the best episodes of a DC TV show I've seen. The reveal to the team of who Cindy's father is was great. As the JSA finds out more about who they are dealing with, I can only imagine the stress Pat is going to be under, knowing that these kids are dead set on going after them. Cindy's act in Courtney's room was borderline psychotic. At first I thought she might not know, but the way she turned at the end, she's a nasty capital B. And you knew once she threatened Courtney's friends that there would be another battle. Beth seems to have been tempered down a bit. She was still crazy for staying in the house as long as she did, but at least she wasn't nonstop positivity banter. Okay, sorry, that was hard to understand. She wasn't nonstop positivity banter. Yeah, that's getting old. Mm-hmm. Thanks, Kev. I'm with you. Hoping her and Rick will start to balance a bit. The last fight was awesome. They are doing a really great job with the choreography. I was a huge fan of Arrow's fight scenes, and although these are different because of the staff and powers, they are still fantastic. Looking forward to the next episode and the next podcast. I give this episode 9 out of 10 cherry chocolates. Comic Geek Kev.
I like it.
Awesome. Yeah, it's awesome to have you back, Kev. Glad to be with us and just hear your excitement. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Good thoughts.
Yeah, he was really with me on the Cindy stuff. Well, with
yeah.
both of us, but.
Yeah, exactly. No, she really turned a good nasty corner there, and she's out of it. But and he's with me about Beth. It's getting old fast. So yes. Next up is X-Force 11.
Hello, legends, and welcome to the Golden Age with Stargirl Episode 8, Shiv Part 2. I absolutely love Pat. I was totally wondering what he was doing racing down the street in his car and crashing it, and then I realized he's coming up with a cover story. And I love the fact that he's come up with this cover story for how Courtney was hurt and he had to hurt himself in the process, but he's really begging Court to come clean to her mom and so everybody can be on the up and up. And I just loved him throughout this episode. He's gone from being a sidekick to really standing up and being a hero in his own way. And I really appreciated that. I enjoyed the ins and outs, but man, oh man, the new JSA is green, and they're going to have to take some real learning if they want to beat these adults who are in the ISA. Thrilling episode, and I cannot wait to see what is next with Brainwave Jr., with Shiv, and how things are going to go down from here. All right, those are my thoughts. X-Force 11 is out.
Yes, X-Force, they are in over their heads. I can't agree with you more on that. And you know what just struck me as you were saying it? It's so funny that you said the new JSA is so green. and we were talking about the new cover picture for our Facebook page that you created for us with the team. And I was asking you off air there, why is it so green in the background? Is it like some kind of light going? I'm like, how funny is that it's glowing green for them? And you just said they're so green, as in they have no experience. Oh, that's a funny correlation.
That is funny. Yeah. Unintentional. No, I'm just kidding. That was pretty funny though. I like that.
Yep. Cool, Jeff. All right. Next up is an email from Dreamweaver. Take her away.
Hello, everyone. We're back with another episode of Stargirl, Shiv Part 2. Right off the bat, we see how much Pat really is trying to keep Courtney and the others safe, going as far as to crash his beloved Buick to create a believable cover story for Courtney's injuries. His selflessness really shined through this episode, as he basically had to work overtime to keep all his adopted JSA kids safe.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. Pat's scene talking to the staff was just great as well. It had heart and humor. And we got another waiting and sitting in a dark corner scene, just this time a bit more sinister. So it looks like Icicle has a personal vendetta against everyone involved in his wife's death, which involved a poisoned water supply under the school she taught at. And this vendetta even includes someone who could have been a whistleblower, but remained silent. Intense. I also now can't help but think Justin the janitor's line from an earlier episode, "There are dragons in the water," may hold more meaning to it than it did at first glance. Feels a bit foreshadowing to me now.
Yeah, exactly. I like how she called it a waiting and sitting in the dark corner scene, because I guess he did that to the wizard as well. And yeah. He's creepy. I mean, how do you creep someone out but sit in a dark room waiting for them when they don't know you're there? That's creepy as hell to me.
Super creepy, yeah. Beth had a great moment when she, Rick, and Yolanda are trying to figure out what to do. She stood her ground with the "you hurt, so you want to hurt everyone else. Is that it?" in response to Rick's blind anger. And then for a split second, I thought the three of them were going to stay back and had learned their lesson. But then Beth also said, "I have a plan. A good one." And I got the feeling that we have different definitions of good.
Yeah, that plan was not good.
Yeah. And man, these kids are almost as bad at lying in cover stories as first season Oliver Queen. At least Beth plays it off better, and Pat once again has to show up to save the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. When Beth is in Cindy's bedroom and the goggles pass over her vanity, it identifies a bottle of knife cleanser alongside makeup and hair products. That is one intensive beauty regimen.
Knife cleanser, yeah.
Ew, gross. The scene with Cindy visiting Courtney in her room was tense to watch, trying to figure out who knew what and if Cindy was going to reveal that she knew about Courtney's alter ego, all while Courtney was not playing it cool and just basically gawking at Cindy the whole time.
See?
Yes, I know she did. But I did have to laugh when Cindy said it was just one of those days, you know? I overreacted and I'm sorry. She delivered that line so well. I also noticed that Courtney's room had stars all over it, some on clothing items and others on the decor around the room. I love little touches like that.
Oh, that's the filmmaker eye in her catching that.
Henry was really starting to learn about his powers, not to mention some of his dad's secrets this episode, such as that he and Cindy's dad made an arrangement for their children to date. Yikes. But he was also probably the only reason Courtney didn't die in this episode, because she was definitely getting overpowered again. Truth.
Yep. Yeah, good observation there, too.
Speaking of, the initial shot of Courtney riding the staff into Cindy's room shot through the mirror was sweet. But Courtney, what were you thinking? You just got out of the hospital after she nearly killed you the day before. At least the staff attempted to stop her. True.
Yeah, that's true. I don't think Courtney's can stand up to her. One-on-one, I think Shiv outmatches her.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I just don't understand what is going to sober these kids up into realizing this is not a game. They have watched a classmate die, Courtney nearly die, and witnessed firsthand Sports Master and Tigress's strength. What else do they need to experience before they start taking training seriously and not rush bullheaded into danger?
It's going to take one of them, I think, not only getting seriously hurt, maybe we're going to lose one of them for it to wake them up. I don't know, because this is how many episodes in a row now that they're just not getting it, that this is not child's play anymore.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm giving this one 7.5 Pizza Palooza bites. I would really like to start seeing the JSA work together as a team. Until next time, your friend Dreamweaver.
Yeah, no, I can't argue those points for sure. That's another point that could get old fast if this team continues to not learn from all these hard lessons that are happening to them and to work together for a change. That'll get old too, so hope for the better. Next up is Patty Spivot. Here she is.
Hey, Flash and Harley. It is Lisa calling in. So, episode 8, holy, it was so awesome. There was so much happening. Oh, I kind of want to watch it again, actually. So, I might do that before next week. I think there were so many great scenes, but the one that really stuck out that made me really, truly laugh, probably because she's one of my favorite characters, but Beth's nope was just awesome. I just totally howled. I was really upset with her for going in there and like, turn around, go. But that scene where she was like, and turned around and ran was just my favorite. It was just so funny.
With Grundy.
So she's kind of emerging as one of my favorite characters. But so far for me, I think Pat, like, oh my gosh, he's just like this cautious voice of reason, wants to do the right thing, wants to take care of everyone, wants to lead them, but doesn't want to get them in trouble. Like, there's so much struggle in it for him. And for him to have wrecked his beloved and my beloved car for Courtney to do a cover story, oh my gosh, like that was such a gesture. And then when he was talking to the staff, that's got to be a hard thing for an actor to just talk to a stick. But the scene was beautiful. I just thought he's just awesome. He's just doing so well, in my opinion anyway. So, Oh my gosh. So Cindy, this 2-part episode was mostly sort of all about her. I feel she's stuck between two worlds and she can't really be in either of them. And that's got to be such a struggle and probably contributing to her just unbridled rage at everyone. But did you guys notice her face? The only time we've seen her crack, nothing has shook her at all except when her dad said, "Do I need to take off my mask?" So I want to know why that is. Why is he so scary? Does he the mask is curbing his anger and rage and scariness? Or is it just that he just looks so hideous as Lizard King? Is that what we thought he was? I don't know. So I don't know. I want to see what that's all about for sure. I was thinking when you guys were talking on the last podcast and asking, okay, so everyone knows who each other are. Do we just go back to school and pretend nothing's wrong during the day? And now Henry also knows who Courtney is. So it's just building and building and building. And there's just no going back from all of this. So I don't know. It's just going to be crazy. And poor Artemis and Cameron are the only regular kids with evil parents. I wonder how long that's going to go. Cameron and Courtney are going to the dance. We're going to go to the dance. There's obviously some kind of connection the CW, knowing them is going to make this love story parallel. But what if Courtney offers Cameron a spot in the JSA? Like, how is that all going to go? It's just, there's so much going on. Oh my goodness. I loved how cool as a cucumber Courtney was when she went to visit, Cindy, when she went to visit Courtney. And she sort of toyed with her, and you could watch Courtney, who has zero poker face. She's thinking and she's confused, and you can see her thinking. Does she know? Doesn't she know? The whole entire time. And Cindy was just playing with her, and then bam, as she left, she just drops this bomb. Sydney is just, she's so evil. She's so good. And then, so I was wondering about, again, the drones, I guess we're calling them, or minions of Dr. Ito. So he's mentioned a few times that it takes 2 weeks to prepare them. It takes, time to prepare them. I wonder if they're the dead bodies. Like, is that what he's doing with them? And what is he doing with them? So he's obviously involved in this brainwashing satellite scheme, I think, that the ISA is doing. But, when we're talking about the stepmothers, Bobby said she's the second stepmother, or somebody said that Bobby's the second.
Yes.
So initially I was thinking Dr. Ito created her. There was kind of a mention of that, or a vibe to that. So I was thinking that maybe it was part of this brainwashing thing. But when Pat was there, Bobby really displayed sort of her own mind, I guess. Like, if she was created, she's still able to think for herself or whatever. Like, she was totally flirting with Pat, so she wouldn't have done that if she was a brainwashed creation of Dr. Ito. But she obviously has a healthy fear of him as well. So there's so many questions. And then my last thought, there's been so much talk about the CW taking over and whether or not they'll do their sort of relationship sabotage to the main theme of the show. But I was thinking how when Jordan and Barbara were at dinner, Jordan's, a single, successful, handsome businessman, smooth and suave, and he's with Barbara out for dinner and pumping her up with her career, and you did so great, and thank you so much, and all that stuff. Meanwhile, Pat is working his butt off, kind of neglecting her. He made her mad when he decided on his own to give Courtney, the cover story of driving lessons. So I hope Jordan doesn't drive a wedge between them. I kind of see that coming a little bit. Anyways, oh my gosh, so much happening. So yeah, I think that's all for me right now. There's a lot going on, and I can't wait for the next episode, and I can't wait for the podcast. So we'll talk to you guys soon.
I think she liked that episode. That was her most excited one yet. Wow.
I think so.
Yeah, her thought about Bobby is kind of interesting. I didn't think of that she did kind of display a little bit of her own personality in that sequence.
She did. And that's true.
Like, she's a little bit lonely, and just having Pat there and asking him to help with the, the carburetor, whatever it is. Like, yeah, okay, there, you know what? She's right. There was some signs there that it's not all mindless with her. So that was an interesting point for sure. And other great thoughts, Patty, for sure. I mean, you were just right in tune with us for everything, like Cindy's craziness and the dragon threatening to take off his hood. That's what I'm really curious about. Holy cow. Yeah, there are lots of questions that we got to see some more answers to, for sure.
For sure. Lots of good stuff. So lots of, I loved her feedback. She's right in tune with us.
Definitely. All right. Moving on to Kerry Johnson. And he says, I like the episode well enough, but let me get my gripe out of the way first. Uh-oh. While the show takes its time with some teases, such as the mystery of Justin the janitor, I felt that Cindy's revelation that she knew Courtney's secret identity was a misstep. Oh, boy, you're against the grain tonight. While the two were in Courtney's bedroom, the suspense and dread as to whether Cindy knew the secret was palpable, and I think it would have made for more interesting drama between the two for at least another episode or two. But I guess with only 13 episodes in the season, the showrunners felt it was important not to dally with that secret. Okay, I can actually see that. If they had to drag that out for at least another episode, that could have built some drama for sure, because that's leaving us hanging. Does she know or doesn't she know?
True. Very true.
Okay. Anyway, I thought Luke Wilson and Angelica Washington, who plays Beth, were the stars of this episode. We generally only get to see Pat interacting with Courtney, and we got to see much more of his humor teaming up with Beth and interacting with Cindy's mom. We also get to see his dramatic moments interacting with a freaking inanimate object when he was talking to the staff. That kind of stuff has got to be difficult when you're interacting with another character, and here he's doing it with a stick in a box. He delivered. Awesome. Yeah, you and Patty are both on the same idea with that, and it was a good scene. That's why I played it, so hopefully you guys enjoyed hearing that again. I also like the parallels drawn between Cindy and Courtney. They're essentially opposite sides of the same coin.
Yes.
Ooh, I like that analogy.
Yes.
I think that will sink in for Courtney if, say, down the line she tries to reach out and save Cindy from the Dragon King's minions that grabbed her. Stray observations. So I just knew that opening scene was a flashback. I mean, they were playing Cannonball from the Cannonball Run movie, for goodness sake. It wasn't present day, though, and of course, Pat needed to provide a cover for Courtney's injuries, so that made sense. Still, I may have to watch Cannonball Run this weekend. Put the bug in your head, eh? I'll be interested to see how the show navigates whether or not Pat and Court tell Barbara the truth. Everything about the scenario screams that they should come clean. Keeping secrets is never a good idea. And it's also CW stuff. Secrets from each other. And to be honest, it's got to be a deal breaker for Pat and Barbara's relationship. Now he's cluing into what I was saying.
Yeah.
According to Angelica Washington, a lot of the back and forth between them at Cindy's house was improv. That's pretty damn cool that such a young actress could keep up with Luke Wilson, who is seasoned in such performances. Oh, that's interesting.
That is cool.
Speaking of Beth, I like how she was able to reach Rick even after he had been so mean to her the moment before. She's a true leader when she convinced Rick and Yolanda not to do something stupid. Yep, she got through. I'll give her that. Yeah. Even better, she formulated a plan. My entries for funniest scenes of the episode. Number 1. When Beth was in the tunnel and heard Solomon Grundy growl, she stopped dead in her tracks and said, nope, and took off running in the other way. Hilarious. Boy, you and Patty are on the same wavelength tonight.
Yeah, that was pretty funny, though. I did enjoy that scene as well.
And number 2, when Bobby was flirting with Pat while he was fixing the disposal and he banged his head underneath the sink, physical humor always equals comedy gold. Yeah, I like that stuff too.
That was good.
Mike is some sort of character roller coaster, in my opinion. I did like the fact that he came clean to Courtney and apologized for his outburst of the football game in the previous episode. I guess we can't appreciate someone's journey to become a better person unless we also get to witness where their journey begins. For Mike, that journey begins as an annoyance. I can say now that I'm interested in where he ends up. I can feel you there because, like I said, he wasn't annoying this time. So, yeah. I know I'm not the only person who wonders what the hell happens if the Dragon King takes off his mask. I'm thinking it either instantly kills someone or turns into some sort of Stepford wife clone. Yeah, I have a feeling he's like Harley was saying, he's just could possibly be really scary looking, or he's got some type of power when the mask comes off and the mask helps him conceal it. I don't know. I was even thinking, like, if you guys ever heard of a basilisk. A basilisk is kind of like a lizard dragon thing, and if you make eye contact with it, it can turn you to stone. Mm-hmm. Who knows? I don't know. We'll see.
Any fans of Harry Potter know what a basilisk is.
There you go. Yeah. So when Dragon King said, "You're so good at hurting things," did the Dragon King hint that Sydney killed her mom? Because that's what she was referring to. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm pretty sure he out and out stated it in the last episode.
Yeah. Yeah, so who knows? Based on the previews for next episode, which I haven't seen, the JSA tries to recruit Brainwave Jr. to the team. Courtney has to know that won't end well, right? And we know Yolanda won't like that one bit. I did not need to know that. Even if Junior wants to be a do-gooder, once he realizes it was Stargirl that put his dad in the hospital, he'll unleash holy brainwave hell on her and the team, right? Yeah, probably. I can see Henry swinging back and forth. He's probably going to lean towards the good guys to begin with, and then once he finds out, then he might unleash his wickedness that is obviously going to be in him genetically because of his dad. I guess we'll see, he says. I give this episode 7 boxes of Cindy Berman care package chocolates out of 10.
Nice.
Awesome, Carrie. Next up is Bianca. What does she have to say?
Hey, Flash and Harley. This week's episode was so great. Can I just say how much I love Pat? He's a great guy and father, crashing his beloved car to cover Courtney's injuries, wanting to be honest with Barbara about everything, coming to the kids' aid when they try to get into Cindy's house, and talking to the staff about Courtney. I loved that.
Yes.
Yes. The one character who completely surprised me this week, Beth. She calmed Rick down when he was ready to tear down Cindy's door and brave enough to go in and dig up info on Cindy. Not to mention she went behind the locked door and pushed her luck in going up to Cindy's room. I was really impressed with Beth and her character development. Side note, when Beth went down into the tunnels, the goggles connection seemed to be lost or blocked. Adds more to my thoughts that they're particularly connected to satellites in some way. Maybe. I want to know, what was Yolanda thinking when she changed into Wildcat in broad daylight? Glad she did it, but still.
I know. Come on.
I loved Pat saying, "What are you doing wearing that thing? You gotta..." It was funny. Jordan getting his revenge was so well done. It's hard to not sympathize with him. However, I think he has thoughts about Barbara, and that's not good for pets.
Yes. It's easy to appreciate where Jordan is coming from, I think, and it's hard not to sympathize with him.
Yeah.
And that makes a good bad guy.
Exactly. I loved Cindy pretending to not know Courtney's secret, the way she revealed it just as she was leaving. Nicely done. Bobby Berman. There still seems to be something artificial about her. Her hair seems to be too perfect, and the mystery around her is intriguing. Dr. Ito is very old. Maybe his current condition has something to do with his longevity, minus the fact that they executed him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Finally, the fight between Cindy and Courtney. I was very surprised to see her crash through Cindy's window. The choreography was done very well. This fight between the two girls was very believable, and then adding in Henry at the end, brilliant. His overload was a great scene, and hearing both girls was great. After Cindy was taken away, were those the drones Ito mentioned earlier? And Henry is talking to Stargirl. Courtney is letting her mind turn into a blabbermouth. Facepalm emoji.
Yes.
Oh my, what an episode. My rating, 7.75 Lonely Housewives. That's it for now. Talk to you next week.
Yeah, good points. There's a couple people picking up on that with Bobby there. There's a little bit more to her, and maybe she's not just a drone clone thing.
I don't know. Yeah, we'll find out.
So interesting. It makes me wonder how much she knows what her husband is doing down in the depths of the basement.
Yeah. Well.
Not sure. But yeah, the drones, that's what those guys were that grabbed Cindy, which is just another way for a mindless zombie kind of thing. Just call them drones. I guess you program them, they do what you say. That's, yeah. But yeah, awesome thoughts, Bianca, as always, and awesome thoughts from everybody. Thanks for the fantastic feedback tonight. This is great. Now we got to wait a week to hear from everybody again.
I know.
But in the meantime, guys, if you would like to send in feedback, this is what you got to do.
If you would like to be part of the show, you can send in feedback to tomorrowslegends@gmail.com, spelled with one R. You can also reach us on Twitter at Tomorrow's Legends, also with one R. Join our Facebook page at facebook.com/groups/Tomorrow's Legends and become part of the community.
Alrighty, we are done with Shiv Part 2. I wonder if there's a Part 3. Nah, it's probably something more to do with Brainwave, I'm imagining. Thanks, Carrie.
I'm not sure. I haven't looked at the episode title. I didn't catch it. So
yeah. Either way, I'm excited. We're wrapping up weeks. So we got 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We have 5 episodes to go. Wow.
Yeah.
There's a lot heating up.
Yeah.
At this point.
There is. We got a lot.
And now that we know, as part of the news, they've been renewed for season 2, so we know they can leave this on a good cliffhanger if they want.
They could. Well, I think this stuff's been produced for a while. So
yeah.
I don't know what they did. Who knows what they decided. They just now got renewal news. So
yeah, that's true. So we'll have to find out what they're going to do and when Stargirl's coming back. I mean, we don't know. We have none of that news. So in the meantime, guys, don't forget about our Patreon page. We much appreciate everything. I said we got new shirts coming, so look forward to that. And Tweet at us if you need at Tomorrow's Legends. Join the Facebook group, all that kind of stuff. Get in touch with us whenever and however you want. Talk to you next week, guys. This is The Flash, signing off.
And this is Harley Quinn. I'm out.
Tomorrow's Legends is not affiliated with CBS, Warner Brothers, or the CW. We're a fan-made podcast for entertainment purposes only and are part of the Cybercast Network.